And there's three components or three core principles to any successful weight loss plan, whether it be high carb, low carb, CrossFit, or whatever, right? And they are this. The first one is nutrition. Okay, now there's a few principles under each kind of subcategory, but we'll go through those in a minute. The first one is nutrition. The second one is exercise. And the third one, which a lot of people seem to forget, is accountability or motivation or consistency, whatever name you like to call it, but it's basically making sure that you're doing these two things consistently and frequently. Now, over the next 8 weeks, we're going to run through these in some pretty cool detail so that you know why it works for your body type, but also how to put it in and how to replicate it time and time and time again. So, if we jump over to nutrition, there's basically 4 key points that we want to run through. Okay? Now, the first one is we want to make sure that you have an increase or that you are eating enough protein within your diet. Now, the reason that this is important is because protein is one of the key factors in increasing your metabolism. Now, metabolism can, I guess, be described as the amount of energy or the amount of body fat that you will burn during the day. If you have a higher metabolism naturally, it's easier to lose body fat. But if you don't have a high metabolism naturally, kind of like me, then an increase in protein in your diet is one of the best ways to really drive this up. Now, the second one is we want to make sure that you're having a balance of good fats and carbohydrates throughout the day. Okay? The reason this is important is because good fats have what we call a higher thermogenic effect as opposed to carbohydrates, and fats can be used for much more. They can be used for things like nails, hair, skin, hormones, and lots of other stuff, whereas carbohydrates can only be used for body fat or energy. So we want to make sure that you're having your good fats earlier in the day and your carbohydrates post-workout when you're going to use that energy from the carbohydrates to refuel your muscle cells, not fill up your fat cells. The third thing is we want to make sure there's enough fiber in your diet. So this is basically just making sure you're getting enough fruit and veg, okay? And this is for your micronutrient content or your vitamins and minerals, but also to help you stay fuller for longer so you don't get some crazy cravings. And then the fourth one, now this is where people normally start, but it is the hardest thing to do, okay? And it's quantity control or portion size. Now, if you follow these steps in this order, by the time you get to this one, portion size, if you've done all of these three, you're going to be 75% of the way there with portion size anyway, because all of this good stuff here is going to crowd out most of the bad stuff, and it makes this much, much easier. Now, that's the nutrition side of things. If we jump over to the exercise, there's a couple of basic things that we're going to work through. Okay, the first one is we need to establish a basic routine. Okay, so in a perfect world, we'd be doing 4 days a week. Okay, and that would be 2 days of what we call resistance training. So that's where you're using either weights or your body weight. Okay, and what this does is this helps to stimulate an increase in metabolism. So if you combine this with the increase in protein, these two things are really what drives your metabolism up. Okay, and this equals fat loss around the clock, which is what we want. Okay, so we'd have 2 days of resistance training, and then we'd have 2 days of cardio. Now the cardio is very straightforward. That's easy to do. That's like running, okay, swimming, cycling, all that kind of stuff. That's like super easy to do. The reason that this is important is cardio actually has a higher calorie burn, okay, than resistance training does. But cardio does not increase your metabolism or build lean muscle mass or help to change body shape like resistance training does. So we want the two, okay? We want both. So that's the first thing. Now, the second principle for exercise is we want to make sure that we actually start to have what we call some progression, periodization, and personalization. And basically what these three things mean is, one, progression. So each week or each program or each workout phase, there has to be a little bit of an increase in difficulty or a little bit of change in stimulus. Okay? Periodization means there has to be some overall macro plan. We can't just be doing random workouts or random exercises stuck together. And personalization, obviously, it's got to be worked around your goals, your fitness level, and your body type. The reason that this stuff is important is because if we come back to resistance training over here, resistance training programs have an expiry date. Okay, so you can't just do the same program over and over and over and over again. Even if the first program is great, you feel great, you get a good workout, you're a little bit sore afterwards, eventually it's not going to have the same kind of effect on your body as it did in day one. So we need to make sure that we start to change programs. We don't want to be too frequent because then your body won't have the chance to adapt and you likely get injured, but we don't want to wait too long. Now normally each periodization goes for about 2 to 4 weeks depending on your fitness level. Okay, so over the course of the next eight weeks, we're going to go through a couple of rotations of programs to make sure that you get a full cycle in of exercise so that you can really feel what resistance training should feel like and what the kind of effects will be on your body. Now, normally it takes people about 8 weeks to get the basic nutrition down and the basic exercise down. Now, if you think about it, 8 weeks is a relatively long period of time, and that's where this accountability really starts to come in to play here, because if they're not being held accountable or if they're not consistent over this 8 weeks, then it becomes very, very difficult for them to get through it, right? Which is, what my job as a PT, I guess, requires me to do. So how we're going to stay consistent over the next 8 weeks is through our app. Okay, so the app is free to download. You should have got the link underneath this video, and it'll help to send you push notifications, to check in, to check your weight, to work out, to log your food, but we're also going to have a Facebook group as well. Okay, so at the start and end of each week, I'll do a video check-in with you via the Facebook group to make sure that you're on track, you're not lost, you know what you're doing, you've closed out the week properly, meaning you've got all your workouts done. And if we did miss anything, then the video at the start of the week will cover that to make sure we can set up a plan, just a couple of quick minutes to make sure that you nail it in the coming week. And that'll allow us to get 8 weeks, or all our fundamentals done in 8 weeks. Okay, so that's basically the structure of this program. Now, what I have realized is that it normally takes people 8 weeks, okay, to get the foundations done, which is great. Okay, however, it's normally in the following 4 weeks, okay, which they see the most results. So this is where they have all the right products and all the right goods and all the right habits in place, and once they continue on this journey for another 4 weeks after the 8 weeks, this is when their results really start to go up. Okay, now what happens a lot of the time, people go through this 8-week program and they feel it has a start and an end. So they go hard for the 8 weeks, they're consistent, they're good, but then by the time they get to the end of the 8 weeks, they stop. So what I've done is I've created a link below. Now normally this 8-week program is paid for, so I've actually created an additional 4 weeks. We're actually going to start to get into some proper periodization, some proper macro and mesocycling for your food and for your exercise, so that we can set you up with a long-term plan, but also so you can really maximize your result and get that additional 4 weeks. So if you hit that button below, all you'll need to do is just fill out some basic details, and I'll ask you a few questions about your goal. This will really help me to periodize, to progress, and also to personalize your workout plan like we spoke about before, so that we can make sure you get the foundations done in the 8 weeks, but then also get your results, or the most of your results, over the last 4 weeks, because that's really, really what we want. Okay, so if you hit the button below this video, then you'll be able to get that full 12-week program for free, which is pretty cool, and that'll allow